We've had computers at home with kids using them for almost 2 decades, certainly for the last decade. The studies that are coming out about what's going on with kids who've grown with these things aren't very encouraging. Family life is suffering. Homes where there is a lot of media have less close family relationships. Kids who are more into media have lower grades and read less well and are less social. There was just a study released from Romania where they gave a number of desktops to kids and followed their school career for a year or so, and all their grades fell. These were not supervised. So there are many studies that are starting to come out that show that the real danger is not the predators that are lurking out there on Facebook, but the insidious erosion of family life and of the intellectual development of children. In my talk, I want to convince you that you can take charge as parents and that you can make a big change. The way to do it is just to begin with changing the physical arrangement of the computer. The studies, the Kaiser family study came out, and it showed that 20% of kids can spend up to 132 hours a week with media. That's about 19 hours a day, either with interacting with or through some kind of media. That's a lot of time. A lot more time than they do anything else. And by media, I mean anything from a large screen TV to a tiny iPod. And I use the word technology and media interchangeably. What I propose is that after 15 years or so of growing in homes where they're relatively not supervised, and parents generally feeling inadequate and not feeling like they know what to do, it's about time for someone to just stop scaring parents, which is what the media is doing, and make some positive statements about having media and technology be positive forces in children's and families' lives, and have them prepared for the future where they're surely going to interact with technology. And so my recommendation is to start being positive about your own ability to manage and organize the media consumption of your children. And I suggest you do that from a very early age, so that by the time they're 18 or 19, they're not going to spend 132 hours a week interacting with media. You teach them in the same way that you teach them to take care of their hygiene, in the same way you carefully think about their education, and in the same way you think about their social and recreational life. And certainly in the same way you think about their diets and nutrition. You teach them that there are certain things that are appropriate and certain times and places that are appropriate, and there are times when things are not appropriate. And not just restrict them, which is the way that most people approach media control over kids, which, by the way, these studies show doesn't really work. It only reduces media consumption by 20% in those homes where kids get supervised by their parents only. So you need more than supervision. You need to make it an integral part of everyday life. And you have to be involved as a parent. You have to do your homework, just like you do your homework with nutrition or preparation for school. You have to create a media plan for each child and make it so that it suits each child. And that depends on your preferences as a family and also on the age of the child. And in the book, I break it down into age groups and what's appropriate for each age group. But the basic ingredients of any plan would include, 1, family relationships. When you change the configuration of the computer and people around it, you're really changing the interaction around the computer, and you're creating a different environment, a different family environment. So there's content online, or play games, or other material, educational material, or movies if you watch TV, that's family appropriate. And I would urge people to interact rather than just sit with their eyes directed at the screen. Turn the chairs around so that you can interact. It's very important. And certainly when the child is less than 5, it's absolutely crucial not to leave the child alone with media, with you not around. I just don't think that it's wise. There is very little that children can really get out of it. And the message you're giving them is that the technology, the media, is not really part of our family life. It's an individual interaction you have with us, and this is not the right message to give them at that age. By the time they're 17, they can obviously spend a lot more time on their own. You don't have to be around a lot, but there has to be some interaction of the family around technology. One of the ways to look at technology and all the gizmos is that they're really home appliances. They're appliances in your home, just like the stove or the refrigerator or the car. And they're tools, they're adult tools, they're not toys. Children see everything as toys, and they treat everything as toys. And your job is to set some limits and some boundaries, and also to teach them how to use these tools effectively. So family relationships is very important. The second thing is socialization. We hear a lot about social networking now. There's an endless stream of new innovations and development of new markets in the world of social networking and the use of computers for socialization, so-called. There are some good things that come out of it, and there's some not so good things, and we all hear enough about it that I don't have to go over it. But I think that the emphasis for parents is to teach children as they interact with other people online or through cell phones or whatever other media there is to interact through, to teach them the kind of values and to use the kind of interpersonal skills that they would use in other places, in other times. It's very important for you to apply the same kind of ideas of what it is to be social to young children. The third is values. I think that we, in our society, we're just not using the media to further value the values that we have and value education, which is part of the ingredient mix of what I recommend. So I think teaching values, using the online computer to explore things like the Red Cross, or going to see what it's like in Sderot, or going to see what it's like in Afghanistan or Pakistan during these floods, connecting to your synagogue. These would be ways to use media in ways that further values. Kids today have no heroes, really, that represent the ideals or the values of the family or of the culture. Very few kids have heroes. You know, kids could have sports heroes, celebrity heroes, but these people are not truly contributors to civilization and to what civilized life is about. Using media and using whatever access you have to information, and there's tons of it, you can find heroes for the kids. You know, if they're interested in music, then they're musical heroes, or even athletes who led exemplary lives, or certainly scientists and authors and the like. And the last ingredient, there's two more. One is education enrichment. It's beyond the school. It's the kind of things that you use media for that furthers the kids' aesthetic development and physical development. And the last one is entertainment, which can be part of any of the others. Kids need to have fun doing pretty much everything. But in itself, without a redeeming quality other than just being entertainment, it's pretty worthless, and it should be used only as a reward in terms of development of human beings. It should probably be used as kind of like a dessert, because desserts are pretty worthless nutritionally. So that's basically the program of the media plan. Parents should be there in the beginning, from the very beginning, and I'm including all the way back to baby videos. That's part of this technology stuff I'm talking about. All the way through teens, although in my book I stop at about 8 to 10. because I feel that by the time a kid has been on their own with media, by the time they're 15, there's not a whole lot you can change. They've developed their own habits and they have their own turf now. So it's important to start them off early.